Of December 2015. Now, this is the last Monday of the year, 2015. Next Monday, we'll be talking about a new year. Welcome to GMU Agenda. My name is Jagenda Semakola this morning on UBC TV, GMU Agenda this morning. And we just want to thank you so much for being part of what is happening here. On the 31st of December, we'll be in Nambole celebrating the 14th Passover Festival. It is an open invitation for all of you. Most welcome. Come and be a part of what is going to happen there. Now, remember, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation TV and Star TV will be live there to give you the coverage from the Passover Festival venue, which is the Mandela Stadium in Nambole on that day. Now, for those of you who will not manage to come to Nambole in person, UBC TV will ensure that whatever happens there comes right your way. Now, as we get to close over the year, we're continuing to look at the political terrain that is happening in Uganda. Now, so many things are happening in Uganda which we'll not delve much into, but we'll continue talking politics. Now, once again, we come again with the presidential candidate for the People's Development Party, Dr. Abed BWANIKA. With us in studios this morning, you're most welcome, Dr. Abed BWANIKA. Well, a very good morning today, and how was your Christmas, Dr. BWANIKA?
The Christmas was fine.
The Christmas was fine, and that was your day off.
It was my day off.
I think all of you broke off because it would be very absurd if you came to us to ask for a vote and it is Christmas time. Everybody will think about Christmas, and you know.
For me, actually, I broke off from 24th.
On the 24th?
Yeah, I felt that the people in there shopping, they are making merit, and you cannot give them politics.
The last time you were here, you had managed to go to 40 districts of Uganda,
yes,
and you still had a very long way to go. Yes. The next time you come back here, how many districts have you covered so far?
I've so far done 57 districts of Uganda.
Wow.
We're above 50%,
because you talk about 112 districts,
yes,
so if you've managed 57, then you're past the half mark.
Yes.
And well, you tell us how it has all been, but I just want to remind you, you're nominated on the 4th of November. And when you nominated, there was a press conference that was organized by the Electoral Commission, of course, for all the candidates to speak to the press and to the media. You said so many things, but the very standing ones that you talked about then was homosexuality. And I still actually want to take you on the same issue on your position on homosexuality in Uganda. And the other thing was the University of Nasarod, where you said we have so many pseudo degrees and documents and stuff like that. Let me just remind you, Dr. Abed BWANIKA, I'll just rush you back to Nambole on the 4th of November, and let's hear part of what you had to say then. Let's hear that video from Dr. Abed BWANIKA.
For the many things, others, you hear them in my manifesto. We are going to rebuild the moral value for this nation. Most people in this nation, you are holding CVs, certificates, transcripts, and you have never gone to school. These are things that you have fabricated on NASA. In my government, I will not accept that nonsense. You are either educated or you are not. We have nurses, we have doctors who have never gone to school. We have MPs. I have done research. 100 MPs in the present parliament, they have never gone to school. 100 MPs in the present 9th parliament, they have never gone to school. I have research. I'm going to verify. I'm going to vet all documents in this country. All. I was at the UNEP recently. Rwanda sent information. They wanted to certify nurses who went to Rwanda, Ugandan nurses.
Well, thank you. You know, it was a very long one, and I don't want to get there. Now, don't you think, Dr. BWANIKA, you're going to have problems with the voters themselves? Now, when you accuse their members of parliament, these are the people's people, you know, and you accuse them of being what they are. Don't you think you started actually decampaigning yourself from the very time you went into nomination?
No, if we are going to build the first world nation, we must build this nation on the true foundations. Uganda, we have a problem, especially as far as education is concerned. We must overhaul our entire education system so that we can bring products that can be able to be used as tools to change our nation. There are so many people in this nation I talked about very few of them who own papers, but they have never gone to school.
They have transcripts and they've never gone to
They are behind the theaters. They do theater work. They do operations in hospitals. They are in clinics treating the people of Uganda, but they don't own these diplomas and degrees. And we are building on a wrong foundation. There are so many people on the streets of Kampala and elsewhere in this country who are behind the steering, but have never been anywhere to acquire a driving permit. So many. I want to overhaul the entire education system.
So the problem gets back to education?
Yes. The problem is our education. We must overhaul the entire education system. The education which we have was brought to us by the colonial masters. And the purpose was to produce clerks to address whatever they needed in the offices.
Administrative issues.
Yes. We must overhaul our education system so that we can produce thinkers, innovators. And if we are going to do this, we must begin with the kindergarten. We must change our syllabus. We must change our centers of learning. We must change almost everything to produce a thinker. Right from kindergarten, if you ask a child in this nation, a simple question, if you commanded the child in Uganda, sit down, this child will respond immediately.
By sitting down?
By sitting down.
Yeah, because that's our culture, Dr. BWANIKA. Our culture demands that when your father, Dr. BWANIKA, demands something from you, is you don't have to fight back.
That is a suppressive culture, which suppresses the mind. If you did that, if you commanded this, if you gave the same command to an American child, 2 years, 1 year, will ask you this, the response will be, why should I sit down? And you must produce an answer.
You need to justify.
That why question is what is lacking in our education system. And the why question is the question which opens up someone's brain. Therefore, we want to overhaul the entire education system, bring in the why question, so that we can produce thinkers, we can produce innovators. I want to change the syllabus right from kindergarten. The amount of time that we spend at school. In Uganda, currently we spend 253 days a year. The best education is in Finland. They spend 190 days a year. For us, we are extra 63 days. We need to create time for other centers of learning. A school is not the only center of learning if you want to produce an wholesome student.
But we have that, Dr. BWANIKA. Don't we have those where we are taught at, at homes, we are taught in Sunday schools? You come from a church background, Dr. BWANIKA.
Yes.
Where in your church, at Christ Children's Church, where it is in Ntinda, you have a Sunday school, which I think is also an alternative. Isn't that there? Isn't it helping?
That will be an alternative if you gave the Sunday school time. When I went to school, we didn't used to have holidays for 3 weeks between the terms. For us, we could do 1 month and a half.
It was longer.
Yes, it was longer. Currently, students do only 3 weeks and they have gone to school. Therefore, the family as a center of learning, the community as a center of learning is not given time. I intend to reduce the number of days, the calendar school year, to 200 days.
Yeah, but I told you, Dr. BWANIKA, that was in your time, which was analog. You know, you were a child of everybody in the village. Now, this time around, Dr. Abed BWANIKA has his children. You live in your enclosure, in your flat, in your chikomera, and your business is entirely your business. You know?
Yes, but
you drive your children to school, you pick them from school and bring them back. They don't even interact with them.
That one does not.
And this is the generation that we're living in.
That one does not remove the other centers of learning as important centers of learning in education. The family, the community, I intend to introduce even cinema as a
cinema learning.
Yes, as a set of learning. We must structure some films which we target to open up the mind of a child. I'll give you an example. In America, every child must watch Superman. This is a fiction. It's not there.
Yeah, it's actual fiction.
But it's something that is designed to open up the mind of a child. When you look at the Chinese now, everyone watches Ninja.
Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, Ninja Warrior. They even go and practice. That's what stretches their mind. We must design our education system to do so. I want to reduce even the hours a child spends at school. I have boys at home, young ones, they leave home by 5. They come back home late in the evening. And this is 4 years, 7 years. P1, P3, our design, they will be coming back home by 1. P3, P4, P5, they come back by 2.
Are you alluding to the fact that the education system is actually what brings this University of NASA, where they make it very easy for Dr. Wanika to get a bachelor's degree and he did not go to the university?
Because our education has become meaningless, that's why people go and manufacture degrees, because it's a meaningless thing. We want to produce an education that can be able to create jobs, that can be able to innovate. When we do that, there wouldn't be any problem. People will start to respect education. The reason why people are going on NASA, recently a very big bank in this nation, one of the biggest banks.
A commercial bank?
They dismissed over 100 workers because they found them with forged degrees.
After how long?
After many years. They have been working for many years.
And they discovered the managers and the accountants there.
Yes.
Was the bank making losses, or somebody just wanted to go against them?
No, whether you're making loss or not, as long as you have someone who never qualified, you will definitely make losses. You will definitely make losses. So we must build the value of education again in this nation. We want to put in our plan a secondary school, a grade A secondary school per sub-county. When I started, you needed not to come to Kampala for you to excel in education. There were schools like Ngola, like Chigeza High School, like Chitovu, Toro College. Yes, all those, and all of those were outside Kampala. Currently, if you are going to pass and guarantee your child to pass, you must come to Kampala. We want to construct, and I'm using the word grade A because we're going to grade schools, depending on the infrastructure and on the staffing. We want to grade schools, but government should invest in grade A so that the rural students, they have access to this quality education. Currently, you know, you have to pay so hard, and our system, education is going to be free from primary 1 to senior 6. We want to guarantee that the next generation is educated up to senior 6. After senior 6, it is upon you. You can decide whether to continue to a college or to continue to a university. It is going to be mandatory, compulsory, for a child between 6 to 18 years to be at school. It's not going to be an option like it is now. We want to ensure that the minimum a Ugandan should have is senior 6. We want to change. We are going to do what we call a needs assessment at the
needs assessment
for the tertiary, education. Currently, there are so many degrees which are being offered in this nation, and you ask them, where are you going to work? We want to do a needs assessment for our economy. What kind of degrees do we need in the East African region? In the Great Lakes region, what kind of degrees?
What do you need to study? And
what do you need to study, and where are you going to work?
And because you talk about education, Dr. BWANIKA, I just want to remind you that in one of your rallies, you were possibly somewhere in Butambala, where you were quoted by one of the biggest newspapers here, the Daily Monitor, that you have a plan of actually banning English in schools and in offices. Now, people are thinking, what is going to be in your government where we'll go to schools and Rwatori is speaking Rutoro, Jagara is speaking Luganda, Hills is speaking another language which you possibly do not know. How are we going to live like that? We speak different languages in schools, and we get to administrative offices. I am a minister in your government. Somebody is a minister, but you're speaking Langi and Acholi and stuff like that. Let's get to that. How are you going to manage education with banning English at the same time?
I believe whoever produced that story is a product of these degrees and diplomas that are fabricated.
Is that so?
Yes, I've never said anywhere that I will ban the teaching and the use of the English language in our schools. I was disturbed, I was surprised to see on the big monitor.
Actually, that was the story.
Yes.
That is Monitor.
That is Monitor.
That is Monitor.
Yes. I got surprised. I was traveling to Noya in the morning, and I heard on the radio, people are discussing, Dr. Abed wants to ban. How? Even Idi Amin, who had never gone to school, he didn't do that. We still need English.
So this was not you, Dr. BWANIKA.
That is a fabrication. Someone seated in the office.
Did Monitor apologize to you?
They never. Despite that I sent them a note, because all my campaigns are recorded. The campaign for Butambala is recorded. For Butambala is recorded properly. I asked them.
You were actually in Butambala?
Yes, I was in Butambala.
I was right when I said in Butambala.
Yes, I was in Butambala. I record all my campaigns. I've never said, what I said, I'm going to say it here, because it is in my manifesto. English will stay the official language for this nation, for purposes of communication within Uganda and outside Uganda. But I emphasize that in addition to English, we need to promote and teach our local languages, the indigenous languages, for purposes of innovation and helping our people to think better.
So you talk about adding our native languages onto English.
Exactly.
Not banning English.
No, you cannot ban English.
Let's speak English with Runyankore. Let's speak English with Ruchi.
I was in Amur campaigning. If I didn't know English, if the Amur people were not listening,
you didn't make any point.
How do I communicate? I was in Teso. There's no good thinking leader that can ever say that we ban English. But what I'm emphasizing, we need to promote our local languages. And I'm also emphasizing that these local languages should be spoken at local government level. A councillor who has been elected in Amur, where they speak Acholi language, the rural language, if he comes to debate on the floor at a sub-county level, and she wants to use her local language, that councillor should be at liberty to use that language.
In Chichiere, in Mayuga district.
Yes.
You have to speak in Lusaka.
When you come in the parliament, that's another case. But also we should copy from a country like South Africa, where they have more than one official language. They have Afrikaners, they have Zulu, they have English. Even in their parliament, you can still communicate in more than one language. Of course, it will take the interpreters, but there are machines these days. You don't need to do it yourself. I'm emphasizing the local language because science reveals that the language which you hear from day 1 up to 5 years is the most important language which is going to help you to be a thinker or an innovator in the future.
Want to create more jobs, Dr. BWANIKA, and you seem like you want to reduce on maybe the administrative budget. Want to create more staff, interpreters, for example. Think of a person, Ratoro, he's a Mtoro, and you post him as the district health officer in Amuru. And he needs an interpreter to interpret that, because these local councillors can speak in their languages. But you have a district health officer who needs an interpretation. What are they going to do about that?
But it's a cost-benefit analysis. If a councillor has been able to deliver the message that she also wants to deliver, the cost of an interpreter, if you want to use a human being anyway as an interpreter, I've told you, we are in a digital age, you don't need an interpreter. You only need an interpreting machine.
Google Translate.
Yes. Yeah, you don't need an interpreter. Just put the machine there. Whatever I say, it will interpret in English. You put in the rule. We are in a modern age. But even if we are going to use an interpreter, at a district there will always be 1 or 2 interpreters who are
the speaker.
Yes, who are deployed to help the ordinary people. My point: we don't have qualification for councillors. These are people that are elected within their communities because of their good standing with the society. They go to a district meeting, you want to force them to use the language which they don't understand properly, and you think that is development. We should allow our people to speak languages they understand, especially at a local government level. At a national level, let people use English as a medium of communication. But at these lower levels, our languages should be promoted. They should be taught in school. I'm striving to ensure that I teach my children the Luganda language and even the other languages. They should understand. Because, indigenous languages are tools of development. There is no nation anywhere in the whole world among the G20 nations, the great 20 nations, which has developed because of using a foreign language.
And actually, RDC Chinese Nyonjo sends a message here to ask you whether your children at home speak English or Luganda, and whether they feed on hot dogs and overgu, because these are also issues. You could be forcing us to speak.
I always try to take them to the village. One time I took them and they asked me how a cabbage grows. Those are the problems. Why? Because they spend most of the time at school. That's why I want to cut the number of days a child spends at school.
So that they can have some time.
Yes, we must help them learn other things. Academics is not the only thing that a child will need to be a better Ugandan. That's why we need to create time for other centers of learning. We must have time with them. 3 weeks is not enough time. 3 weeks, I mean, by the time you start on something, the child is already at school.
Okay.
In America, a child spends at school 200 days, not 253. They create time for other centers of learning. They go to school, they start school by 8:30. For us, by 7, a child is at school. They have already left home by 5. You know, that's why by the time they reach the university, they are tired. They cannot think. Because our education is not designed for that. It is designed for academics. They can excel in academics but don't have the impact in the society.
Okay. Well, Dr. Abed BWANIKA, 2 more things here in the interest of time that I want you to talk to us about. Now, there is a debate that is coming on, the presidential debate, where we expect to see all of you, the 8 candidates, speaking to Ugandans. I don't know what you have to say about the debate, and specifically, are there issues that you feel should be addressed, or it's going to be an open thing where all of you are going to speak to us about your manifestos? And the other thing that I also want you to come out clearly on here is your stand on homosexuality. We need to know where you are on homosexuality, because that's also a very big thing, and we need to know, should you be elected president of Uganda, where do you leave Uganda in as far as homosexuality and gayism is concerned?
First of all, I want to congratulate those who came up with a brilliant idea
of the presidential debate,
having a presidential debate. My advice, number one, that we should have had more than one debate, because in a presidential campaign, there are so many issues. We should have a presidential debate on the 15th of January, or near that, and another one in February. So that in one presidential debate, we look at a specific sectors.
So the second one is your advocacy.
Yes.
The organizers only have one.
Yes.
And you feel there should be another one.
We should have more than one. Secondly, is the amount of time which they have allocated for this.
They have allocated 2 hours for all of you.
Yeah, 2 hours.
2 hours is 15 minutes. For each of you, that is if there is no moderator. You speak for 15 minutes, you hand it over to Charia, Charia gives it to Mabirizi, Mabirizi gives it to another person, and it continues like that until all of the 8 have spoken. So
I've advised, and I'm going to put it in writing this week to the organizers, that the minimum that they should give for a presidential debate is 4 hours. So that at least each of the presidential candidates is heard for a period of 30 minutes. Maybe you have to answer a question 1 minute, 2 minutes. You know, people should hear us in details. And in regards to the issues that which I think that should be covered, majorly the issues, the challenge of today is the tiny economy of Uganda. Whoever is talking about creating jobs must be creating about expanding our economy. All presidential candidates should be put on task. How are you going to expand the economy?
To grow the economy.
Yes, because you can have a good wish list. I'm going to build schools, I'm going to build roads, I'm going to do this. But that one can only happen if you have a good economy.
And it's stable.
Our economy is $25 billion. I was given an illustration. The richest man, Bill Gates, is $79 billion, richer than Uganda times 3. What is a presidential candidate? What are the things that a presidential candidate is going to do? What is your economic design so that we expand our economy? When we expand our economy, the standards of living will go up, the money for services will be available, jobs will be created. I believe that is a key thing. Ugandans must hear from every presidential candidate. What is your agenda for the farmers of Uganda? 76% of the people of Uganda stay in the countryside. Farming supports 80% of the livelihoods in Uganda, contributes 53% of the forex earned in this nation, contributes between 24 to 28% of the GDP. It contributes over 73% of the jobs come from farming. Anyone who wants to lead this country must be spot on on the agriculture in this country.
Have the organizers given you this particular thing that you're going to talk about economy, or they're leaving it to you? These are your wishes that you should talk about it?
Yes, they haven't given us, from the letter that I have, they haven't given us the list of areas they want us to cover. It's going to be very broad and a generic one. I think they want to, when we go in, they begin to shoot the questions. Every presidential candidate will be ready for that.
Okay.
But it would have been good if we had said that in this presidential debate, we are going to cover these items and these issues and these issues.
Now, let's talk about the venue itself. Would you want it on TV, on radio, in an open place, in a stadium?
First of all,
where?
I'm also worried about the venue. I'm told it's going to be in one of the hotels around Kampala. But the hotel they are talking about is, I've been in that hotel, I don't know.
They're suggesting, I think, Protea Hotel or something?
Suggesting Protea. But I don't know, Protea, I've been there, they don't have these big halls. I would have expected that the presidential debate should be in a big auditorium. Maybe 300, 500 people.
With an audience of all.
Yes, with an audience. Because we're addressing the entire country. We should not be in a place where we're addressing 150 people. We should have the resemblance of the nation being represented. We have entrepreneurs there. We need the casitas there, the business people. We need the farmers there. We need the students there. Every category of
people with disabilities, women.
People, yes, they should be inside there. So that they should also be given opportunity to ask us questions, apart from questions that are designed by
the moderators.
Even the ordinary people, they should ask their questions. You know, a presidential debate gives people opportunity to compare, you know, and the originality of the issues of the manifesto will come out so clearly. You know, in a presidential debate, a presidential campaign, people keep poking from issues from one another. But in a presidential debate, you are given opportunity. The one who is firm with an idea is very easy to know when you listen from them on the same podium.
Okay. Well, let's get to homosexuality because the time is running out.
Yes.
In that press conference that you had on the day of nomination at Nambole, even when I took the NASA bit out of it, but you also talked about homosexuality. And because it was a press conference, then covered live on UBC TV, those who watched UBC TV on that day saw that. And a few clips for the news bites. But now let's get it from you, the mouth of the horse, on homosexuality.
The question of homosexuality is a huge question because it touches the moral fabric of the nation of Uganda. It's also a huge international issue, being driven and promoted by many people from the West. For us here as a nation, I stand on the side which say no to homosexuality. We must guard our moral values, and homosexuality has never been part of our moral value in this nation. We have over 52 tribes in this nation. We don't know of any tribe that cherishes homosexuality as part of their value. Therefore, our interest is in guarding what belongs to us. Homosexuality will never. We are going to, as my time as the president of Uganda, we are going to enact a law that protects our people from homosexuality, protects our people from the promoters, protects our people.
We tried that, Dr. BWANIKA, last year. We tried that and we enacted the law here. And members of parliament actually sued the same law. They took the same law to the Constitutional Court to ask for its interpretation. And the Constitutional Court actually threw it away. Yes. Even when the ruling did not say that you are free to enjoy homosexuality, but it just simply said there is no law. Yeah, so for as long as there is no law.
Yes, but apart from that law was thrown away. We still have within our penal code, within the provisions of our law, homosexuality.
Section 145, I think, of the penal code.
Is a no-go area.
It's actually it's stronger than the law that we had.
Yes. What we want to do is to take it further, to ensure that we enact a law against the promoters, against those who victimize our children. There are many people in this nation now who have come from outside. They are constructing schools to be centers of promoting homosexuality.
But these guys have a lot of money, Dr. BWANIKA.
Yes, we know that.
How will you work with them? We're only thinking because people have made us to think that once you do not deal with these Western powers especially, they will take away all their monies. And how are you going to run this country without funds from the perpetrators of homosexuality?
I have lots of differences with the present government, but I also commend them for what they have done. When they came into power, maybe over 80% of the budget was coming from the West. Now we have over 80% coming from the people of Uganda. Our strive is to ensure that 100% of our budget comes from the people of Uganda. We should never be a nation that is sovereign relying on another nation. So that's why we put ourselves in two problems. Whether the West, the homosexual people take away their money. First of all, people must understand that homosexuals are less than 1% of the population of the world. The majority of the people are not homosexuals.
That's true.
We still have other nations in the West who support us who are not homosexuals.
My intelligence tells me you've had international media visit you over the same issues.
Yes,
and, please tell us what you told them if you're faithful.
Since you know, they had that caption from
Nambole.
They have been calling me, international media. They have sent so many bodies have sent many people to interview me on the issue of homosexuality. And I've been firm to tell them, Dr. Abed BWANIKA, as a president of Uganda, just know that Uganda will be a no-go zone for homosexuality.
Okay.
Some of them have made me repeat that statement over 20 times in an interview.
And you're not ashamed to
Yes,
say
and I'm not ashamed.
And you're not shy away
and
from
I tell the people of Uganda, whoever is in homosexuality, we don't have any science proof that anyone is born with genes of homosexuality.